A 1, 2, 3. Private parts. Macrae. And all her friends talking about the things that doctors rarely say.
Yeah. Welcome to Private Parts. I'm Macrae and I'm here with Abbey. Thanks for being here, Ab.
My pleasure.
All right, so we're going to talk about your chronic condition, one of many.
Yep.
But we'll just go with the one today.
Yep.
Can you explain to everyone what it is?
So I have endometriosis, which is had a lot of definitions over the years and is constantly changing the more research is thrusted into the ether. But the main one is that lining similar to what grows in the uterus is growing outside of the uterus. And they've just recently found that it can grow in any organ of the body. So stuff's happening where it's not supposed to, essentially. It's really sort of characterized by chronic pain, lots of discomfort, especially in the pelvic region, but obviously that can just radiate anywhere. Chronic fatigue, hormonal changes and fluctuations to hormones, plenty of comorbidities. So lots of things that sort of gravitate around that. Troubles with fertility. Gosh, I say this stuff all the time and now I'm just drawing a blank. We love that. But yeah, look, I think the main thing is just chronic pain that a lot of people say is around periods and it's heavy periods, but honestly, I believe that it's not just a bad period, which is one of the biggest misconceptions, that it's just bad periods. You just stick it out for a week and then you're good after that, but that's just not the case. A lot of people have pain every single day or multiple days of the month. Yeah.
So obviously with something like endo, it impacts everyone very differently. So for some people that might be one day of pain or no symptoms in having it.
Yeah.
And then other people are bedridden forever. What's your experience with it and where do you sit in that space?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky that I've had 2 surgeries and I'm really lucky that they have both had decent longevity in treatment. But it looks essentially like usually I want to say 2 weeks out of the month. I sort of am just like, okay, cool, we're winding up to flare-up time. It's a lot of, and it generally starts off as a lot of brain fog, a lot of fatigue, just sort of crashing out of nowhere. And then plenty of cramping, plenty of bowel trouble because endo grows on my bowel. So lots of IBS type symptoms, lots of needing to know where the bathroom is at all times. And yeah, lots of just like needing to be in bed with the hot water bottle, with the TENS machine, avoiding everything because it's just cramp city, basically. Yeah.
So obviously also worth mentioning that with endo, for people who don't know, you can only get diagnosed at this point by surgery.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's pretty sucky that if you want, they are telling people nowadays, a couple of my friends have been told they probably have endo, they don't have to have the surgery, they can just try some hormone treatment and see if that will put a pin in it. But yeah, if you want a definitive diagnosis, you need to go in for a laparoscopy, so you got to go in and have a pretty invasive surgery that, depending on how it goes, the recovery can be really quick, it can be a quick turnaround, it can be a really long, shitty turnaround. My first surgery was hellish. The turnaround and recovery was a really long, really uncomfortable time. But my second one was way quicker, like a week, and I was pretty much myself again. So it really just it depends on who's operating on you, and also your individual circumstances and how your body's bouncing back and healing. Yeah.
I'd really like to talk to you about social impact, social isolation. So obviously it can be an incredibly isolating experience, as
Absolutely.
all chronic illnesses and conditions are, but how have you or how have you not communicated to your friends and family about what it is that you're going through, and what has stuck with you as really negative responses or positive?
I spent a lot of time not being real about what I needed and just being like, nope, I just got to show up to this. I've just got to do this thing. I've just got to be and behave like everybody else and just fit into their lives like you normally would. But I guess over the past couple of years, as I've gotten a little bit older, I've sort of understood that, no, it's actually the people around me's responsibility to rally and be community for me and people like me. You know, it's not my responsibility to change how I heal myself and look after myself. It's really important that, oh gosh, so soon. It's really important that the people around you realize that that is also that's on them. Like, it's so important. And I know so many people with endo and with chronic illnesses just feel like such a burden, and you carry so much guilt, and you can't help but feel like you're pulling somebody else's life backwards because you feel like your life is backwards. So it's so important that people come to that plate, and they're so ready to, the people who love you are just so ready to do that with you, you know? And I've sort of, just within the last sort of year or two, just been like, no, like, that's fair. Like, they love me, they care about me, I deserve that. And I think taking up that space with the people you really care about is really hard to do. Like, it's super hard to do, but it's really important because you can't control what's going on with you. And if people care about you, they just need to be there. But what I found hard is the education part. I've really found that to be the biggest bump in the road, just because a lot of people I know expect me to educate them. And obviously everybody's different. Like, if you have the range and that's your thing, that's so good. Like, if you've got the energy to do that, but a lot of people don't. And a lot of the time I don't. So you need to be doing your own research. You need to be reading the books, listening to the podcasts, doing your Googles, like, go do that stuff. And when that's not there, that interest and that curiosity, it can just be really disappointing. And it can just be like, cool, you know, you expect me to have the energy all the time to do this for you, but you're not going to go away and do it yourself. So I've found that to be frustrating. And it's also just being patient, like just the patience with you not being able to be there all the time. You know, like if someone's got a birthday or a gig and you just can't do it, it's just like, you need to know that I would love to be there. I would love to be a part of this, but sometimes I just can't. Like, I don't always have that energy to be there.
Yeah. And have you found, because it's a really common story that we kind of play down our things in the beginning, because we also hope we're going to get an answer after these surgeries.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a broken arm and it will heal and I'll be better, and people show up at surgeries and say, like, here's a get well card. I don't know if you've got the get well cards, but get well soon doesn't exist in chronic illness. There is no getting well. You might have a better day or not, but you won't get better soon. But have you found that you've probably lost some friends along the way because you're not out as much as you would have been, but have you found your relationships, your personal relationships, family and friends, or romantically, have become stronger in that space? Yeah, so me and my partner have been together for 8 years. Yeah, it's a pretty long time, and it's definitely, he and I have definitely become so much closer because of his ability to step up and be there. Obviously that wasn't without trials and tests and lots of times of just being like, you just need to help me, or you just need to listen to what I need and not assume that you know, or but also please just do stuff. So it's like such a fine line. Ask me.
Absolutely. It's so confusing because you want to be checked in with, but at the same time you're also like, can you just do it? Which just sounds silly, but yeah, like I've definitely pulled away from quite a few people that just during times of isolation it just hasn't been there, and it's just not been something I've been able to feed because my priorities have been different. Like when you're just trying to survive, some things fall to the wayside, and it's really sad, but sometimes if you're not there, some people just let you go, and it's really sad. And it's such a big part of living with something, like you said before, you're not just going to get better. Like it's like, this is my life. So when you've got those people around you that really rally around you and just create that beautiful like home for you, it just makes it so much sweeter. So I find, like people are gone, and like I've been sad about that. But at the same time, it's like, no, I've got the good ones though. Like the ones that are still here are the best. So which is like so hard to do that. Like obviously when people are in the process of fading away, it's really hard. But when the good ones are there, you're just like, I got you, you got me. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've got some pretty good ones around you.
I do. Like there's still like a lot of, it's still a work in progress. Like every day is a work in progress with everyone. There's never a time when I'm not like, hey, you know that thing that you did that's not really okay? You need to like remember, check yourself, continue. Like this is a very real experience for me, and you need to understand. And at the start, like I was saying earlier today, that like a doctor didn't believe me. So how are people who have never heard of it, how are they going to believe me? You know what I mean? When they're not even doctors. So it's a completely mismatched scenario for a lot of people. So yeah.
So firstly, thank you for sharing with us.
Not at all.
We're just trying to keep it together a little bit here.
Yeah.
If you were to give one or 10 pieces of advice, whatever you want, to someone who is caring for someone with endo, with depression, with whatever it might be, how as a friend can we show up for one another, would you say?
Yeah, it's a big one because it's different for everybody. Everybody's needs are so different. But I would say in the early stages, someone comes to you, they share with you they've got endo, they've got depression, whatever they come to you with, you need to listen. First and foremost, you need to listen. Like that is the biggest one. You need to listen, you need to be affirming and validating. And you need to know that sometimes we don't want your advice. We just want to know that you care and that you're listening. If they come to you for advice, go for your life. But if they don't, maybe keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
But I think in the beginning it's really important that you ask how you can be a good friend to that person and what they need from you. And then if it's within your range as a friend or a carer, do it. But also be really clear about if you can't, because, then we will pool our resources, because we're very resourceful people, and figure out a way to get those things we need. So, yeah, I think listening and educating yourself, I think that's a really important one too. And don't expect people to do it for you, especially people who are tired, so unwell a lot of the time. You need to be doing that yourself. There's some awesome Instagrams out there. There's some awesome books. There's great podcasts. There's so many people sharing their stories. So just get out there and listen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Oh my gosh.
If you, and you don't have to answer this because I don't know if I told you I was going to ask this one. If you could go and sit with yourself in the waiting room at diagnosis time with little Abbey, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to not feel guilty for asking things of people and asking things of people around me, and to not feel like a burden to others, because I'm entitled to that care. Like, we all deserve love and to be treated with respect and to be treated like we matter. So I would say, just because people haven't listened to you doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be supported. Pretty simple. Sorry.
Yes. Well, yeah, that is spot on.
Sorry.
Little Fee's crying now.
So it's little Abbey.
Oh, no.
And Big Abbey.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me. been very
And we'll
cathartic.
check back in soon, see what else
Yeah.
we've got to chat about. But thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No. It's just if we didn't have audio and we have to go back and be like, this is
Hello, just dubbing.
I felt
Ha, ha,
really
ha.
sad.
Doctor
I
said
cried.
this.
Doctor made me feel like idiot.
Okay, timer 15.
Oh god.
I can feel you wobbling.
It's just the
It's the hormones.
It's not living the exact same truth.
Oh,
Thank you.
no worries.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Gina.
much.